Something or someone is trying to contact Earth. As recently as June 2020, repeating radio signals from outer space have been received at specific and almost taunting intervals. As decades of independent research projects like the Arecibo telescope conclude, scientists are only now just beginning to assess the reality that Earth is being bombarded by alien signals being sent from various locations across the universe. Who or what is the cause of these radio bursts is as curious a question as why they're being sent. Are these distress signals? Do they think that we're in trouble? Are they curious about us, or are they looking for a lost one of their own? We know that intelligent interstellar civilizations are possible. We're proof of it. But are these unexplained signals proof of advanced life forms beyond our galaxy? Today we're breaking down the scientific evidence and empirical data, as well as one controversial Harvard astrophysicist's assertion that these extraterrestrial signals are intentional alien communications, or at the very least, a real-life sci-fi mystery that our science cannot explain. Welcome to the Abbreviated podcast, where we abbreviate big ideas and possible answers to even bigger questions. In today's episode, we're abbreviating everything you need to know about alien signals.
3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have...
If this episode had been recorded even just 2 years ago, the suggestion that an alien civilization might be broadcasting radio signals to Earth would be a pretty fringe idea, at least when it came to verifiable scientific data. But recently published studies are forcing scientists to reevaluate every piece of possible evidence for alien life. Alien signals are something scientists have been looking for a long time. In 1959, two Cornell physicists made the assumption that any extraterrestrial civilization attempting to communicate via radio signals would probably do so using a frequency that's naturally emitted by hydrogen. Since hydrogen is the most common element in the universe, it's probable that all technologically advanced civilizations are familiar with it. This idea was the precursor to an organization you've probably heard of, SETI, or the Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence, a global group of scientists whose mission is to hunt the skies for concrete scientific proof of alien existence. The year is 1977. America has all but forgotten the sensation of Roswell almost 30 years ago. The Cold War has forced the American public to care more about the arms race than the space race. It'll be another 2 years before the Ridley Scott film Alien captures the fascination of pop culture, and SETI has enlisted Ohio State University's radio observatory, nicknamed Big Ear, to assist in scanning the sky for radio anomalies. At 2:16 a.m. on the night of August 15th, 1977, a young volunteer astronomer named Jerry Ehrman was analyzing pages of data collected by the observatory when he noticed something very strange. Big Ear had recorded a signal with an intensity and frequency that could only be made by something artificial. In other words, this was not a natural radio frequency. In fact, it was unlike anything ever recorded before, and it left Jerry and his colleagues astonished. Jerry circled the signal sequence on the page and wrote the word "wow" with an exclamation point in the margin, thus dubbing the event the "wow signal." The signal itself lasted for a 72-second window during which Big Ear was listening to that particular sector of the sky. There have been several subsequent attempts by Jerry and others to recapture the wow signal, but it's never been found again. No theory ever produced has been able to explain the origins of the radio burst. The wow signal had no detectable modulation, a common feature of radio waves being sent to deliver information. But it remained the strongest candidate for an alien radio transmission ever detected. That is, of course, until the year 2020. 3 billion light years from Earth, there is a dwarf galaxy, and every 157 days, a radio signal is being sent from that galaxy to our planet. The technical term for these kinds of interstellar signals is FRB, or fast radio burst. Some FRBs emit from man-made technology on Earth. We can identify our own signals even when they escape our atmosphere, but the science community has yet to explain the presence of foreign FRBs which seem to emanate from deep space. Some have theorized they come from black holes or are somehow caused by the orbits of massive stars. Either way, we have yet to discover definitive proof or explanation that says FRBs can be caused by anything other than an artificial source. In the case of this 157-day signal, University of Manchester astronomers observed that the FRB sends out bursts during a 90-day window, followed by 67 days of eerie silence. And this repeats every 157 days. But what if the signals are coming from our future selves? Scientists have technology so advanced that it makes spotting radio signals thousands of light years away pretty easy. Our telescopes and satellites just need to be pointed in the right direction. But remember how human technologies can emit FRBs too? Well, with the advent of cell phones and wireless connectivity, humans have vastly increased the number of radio bursts bouncing around the universe. To help them isolate which signals are extraterrestrial in nature versus man-made, scientists analyze what's called a technosignature, or the static behavior of each radio burst. In 2018 and 2019, astronomers at Green Bank Telescope in West Virginia observed over 30 stars just like our own sun. They did this for only a few hours and came back with over 20 million radio bursts that required analysis. Comparing these to known technosignatures of things on Earth like microwaves, airplane navigation systems, and cell phones, researchers were quickly able to explain all except roughly 4,000, which required further careful visual analysis. And every single one of those was deemed man-made as well. Keep in mind, this experiment looked at just 30 stars in a universe of billions. It's the equivalent of studying a bucket full of seawater and hoping to gain a greater understanding of life in the ocean. What it does tell us, though, is that the increasing volume of man-made radio bursts on Earth is going to continually make it more difficult for scientists to hear an alien broadcast if there is one. Some SETI researchers are even exploring the possibility of placing a new observatory on the far side of the moon to give us a better earshot of space. At this rate, if we're going to notice an alien broadcast, it will have to be different than anything we've seen before, and it will have to be pointed directly at Earth. And that's exactly what Canadian astronomers have found. Far more mysterious than the WOW signal, a radio burst is being broadcast to Earth every 16 days without fail, emanating from a spiral galaxy much like our own 500 million light years away. First observed in 2019 by CHIME, a Canadian-led research project aimed at studying astronomical phenomena, this radio burst is the first ever recorded at such a frequent cadence. While the formal project ended in February of 2020, astronomers who worked on the project are still tracking the signal out of their own pure fascination, and they say it's still going strong. One MIT graduate student who studied the signal noted that this discovery changes the conversation when it comes to studying interstellar radio bursts, writing that now all other theories going forward would have to find a way to account for this signal's repetition. But Harvard astrophysicist Avi Loeb doesn't think they're going to be able to, at least not without an alien explanation. Loeb has observed that this repeating 16-day signal is coming from the same location as the habitable zone of Proxima Centauri, the star closest to our own sun. In essence, our closest intergalactic neighbor. But what makes this repeating 16-day signal especially curious isn't just that it's beaming towards Earth from another galaxy's habitable zone. It's that in that precise location is a planet which astrophysicists like Avi Loeb think is very much like Earth. And that planet happens to orbit its own star every 16 days. Thanks so much for listening to this episode of Abbreviated. Find us on Instagram at Abbreviated Podcast, and we hope you'll subscribe so you can join us next time when we abbreviate something new.